Hello, Maurieos! Maurieos Engineering Maths How to Worksheet. Hello, welcome. Well, in this instructional video, I'm going to give you a bit of a heads up regarding my expectations for the weekly worksheets that will be part of engineering maths for this semester. So there are 10 weekly worksheets that are done, and the worksheets follow, or they are based on old exam questions, and they will be working through the course in the same order as the course and similar order to the exams. So there's 10 worksheets, 10 questions on each worksheet, which means 100 old exam questions that will be very good for revision purposes when you come to sit the exam. So each week there's this worksheet. Now the expectation is that you will work out or do the 10 questions on the worksheet, and then in the next week you'll have a weekly quiz which will be based on similar questions to what are on the worksheets. So you come along to the weekly quiz, and that'll be 5 questions very similar to the ones on the worksheet. So you do the quiz and then you hand in your worksheet completed, and if your worksheet is completed correctly, you'll get a grade of 5. If there are 2 questions correct, they'll grade of 1, 4, 2, 6 will give you 3, and 8 will give you 4 out of a possible 5 for the worksheet. Then there will be a quiz of 5 questions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In both instances, 0 if you don't get any right. Now, if you do the quiz, but you don't hand in a worksheet, half marks for the quiz. So we want to know that you're doing the background work necessary in the worksheets, and that you've done the necessary background to make you eligible to sit the quiz. So that's how it's going to work. So let's have a look now at the in a little bit more detail around the worksheets and the expectations. So I've put a little order over here, and then I've taken a very simple question. I've changed it up a bit so it's not the same as the one on the actual worksheet, but this is sort of what I would do. So the first thing you do is research the question and how to do it. So you look at that and say, oh yeah, that's an expand and simplify, and there's various videos and resources on the course Moodle site that you could go and look up and work out how to do that and what's the best thing. And so once you've done your research on how to do it, you might ask for help if you have some problems, or you just want to clarify that you've got it right. So you could ask a tutor or a colleague or Student Learning Services or anyone, just to make sure that you're on the right track and you've got it correct. Then on a little bit of scrap paper, and that's what I've indicated up here, you might just work out how you're going to set it out, because that's quite important too, that you set out your questions and they show some discipline. Mathematics is a language. It's a very visual language, and it has some very clear and logical rules that if you follow those rules, everybody will be able to understand what you've done. Whereas if you deviate from the rules, people may not be able to follow what you've done, and in fact you may not be able to follow yourself when you review it later on. So it's worthwhile putting some time and effort into having a standard practice. Doesn't that sound familiar with other engineering things that we do? Having standards and that we follow. so that other people can engage and understand what you've done. These are themes that go right throughout everything we do in engineering. There are standards, there are ways of doing things. You can't just make stuff up yourself. Well, you can, but it makes it harder for others. So just take a little bit of time to do some background reading and find out how the real professional does it. Because let's face it, you want to be a real professional one day. So if you follow some other sets of rules, that's going to be really difficult to do. So draft it up on a little bit of paper and just experiment with things. Put in some key things, like there I've said, well, go and try and line up the equal signs, and then I've got the little arrows showing what things do and things like that. So, and then discuss it with others and edit the draft with emphasis on structure and showing all the working. Don't leave out any steps. Now, the time that you take to do this now will be really pay dividends when you come to sit for the exam, because you'll have a clear answer that you've done yourself, and you should be able to, with a little bit of prompting, recall it. So then once you have got it all sorted, then carefully write it out on the final worksheet, the one that you're going to hand in. Remember, in an exam, you're trying to show or demonstrate to the marker your knowledge. What better way to show your knowledge than to have it in a professional manner, the way that it's expecting, the way that the marker is expecting to see it. Just so much easier to mark and so much easier to give you the marks that you deserve. So take the time now to sort out any problems, work out how you can get it, and guarantee that you get all the marks due to you, not a half mark off because you've got something a little bit wrong or something like that, or it's not difficult to read, or it doesn't follow a logical sequence. So take careful note, especially in lectures, as to how things are done and what they follow, so that you can reproduce that in your exams. Usually the tutors that are tutoring you are the people that are marking your exams. If you parrot back to them exactly what they're telling you to do, how can they possibly mark you wrong? And one other final little thing about these questions. These are old exam questions. Chances are there'll be similar questions in the exam at the end of this course. If you cannot do these questions now, what chance will you have of doing them in the exam? Think about it. So, there you go. Everything you needed to know about the Engineering Maths weekly workshop, weekly worksheets, and how to do them. Cheers! See you!